The book of Daniel shares the prophetic style of the book of Revelation, and up until a couple hundred years ago, biblical scholars assumed that the book of Daniel was written around 600 BC. This early date was based on the assumption that the author truly had magical powers of prophecy, and he was telling the future before it happened. Over the last couple hundred years, the scholarly consensus has changed drastically. Essentially, many scholars began to adopt the reality that the Daniel author can't speak of what he does not know. Instead of being a prophetic book in the sense of the author having magical prophetic powers, the scholarly consensus began to shift to the idea that the author lived around 150 BC and simply wrote in a prophetic style. Now, the good news about this shift in the scholarly consensus is that most of the work has already been done for me. In tackling Daniel, I get to use a lot of works of Bible scholars that have already determined the historical events. This is very different than the so-called scholarly understanding of Revelation. The same rules that these scholars applied to Daniel have not been widely applied to Revelation. So Revelation was an extremely difficult crack because the scholarly consensus still assumes that the Revelation authors had gnarly magical powers of prophecy. Still, the history behind the book of Daniel is definitely worth a look or two. The book is only about 12 chapters and covers a very broad period of history, and in that sense it's nowhere near the difficulty of Revelation. The precision of the first few Revelation chapters simply does not exist in Daniel. While the book of Daniel is far more broad in scope, the allegories are fairly obvious. So with that, I believe I'll go ahead and begin a Decrypting Daniel series. It's not going to be anywhere near as difficult as the Revelation series, but if you like ancient historical references, Daniel is loaded with them. It's a fascinating book, and having biblical scholars that have already done the legwork certainly helps. It won't be near the ride that Revelation was, but Daniel has some very interesting history behind it.